Saeed is a deserter who has found refuge in Istanbul. What he fears most, his fellow citizens.
I'm not afraid of Erdogan, nor the authorities. If I were afraid of them, I would have never settled in this country. But what frightens me in Istanbul is if someone recognizes me.
Saeed didn't come empty-handed. At times, he traded his Kalashnikov for a camera. He wants to show us unpublished videos he has shot himself. Saeed filmed this hashish field near Mayadin in eastern Syria.
Allahu Akbar.
Here they were growing a whole field of cannabis to produce hashish. Take a look at that, cannabis seedlings. The Islamic State group ended up selling all these drugs. So I told them to destroy all this. It was a tractor. But they refused. They stopped me from doing so. Here we went on a raid. We arrested a man. We were informed that he was a shabiha, an agent of the regime. These were only assumptions, we had no evidence. But a man assured us that he was a shabiha. He swore with his right hand. And here he is. So we took him to the headquarters, and 2 or 3 days later he was executed. Where the Islamic State group is established, every morning people wake up and discover dead bodies. There is no trial, no justice, and no one can argue, say anything to defend themselves. Orders cannot be disputed.
Originally from Homs, Saeed first joined the Free Syrian Army. After Homs was taken by the regime, he moved to Deir ez-Zor. At the beginning, this conservative Sunni was convinced that the Islamic State organization was the most efficient force to combat the regime. But their strategy disappointed him and ended up scaring him.
We had to cleanse the region of any Free Syrian Army fighter. It didn't matter if they were Sunnis. Most operations were against Sunnis. The Islamic State group says they came here to fight the regime, but the truth is that the regime is not on their agenda. They swindled us. Their media and propaganda is a pile of lies. They're only about hatred, deprivation of freedom. Even the Sharia they talk about is a lie.
Gradually, Saeed came to feel threatened himself.
They started executing my friends, my fellow soldiers. I began fearing for my safety and my family. I wanted to escape, but what kept me there for so long were my parents, and I also feared for my wife and children.
In the spring of 2015, once he had ensured his family's safety, Saeed deserted. But the year he spent under the yoke of the Islamic State organization has left deep scars.
For any kind of reason, we would see on a daily basis people being hanged, women being stoned. Our children have become used to these horrific scenes. They're brainwashed. Now they have their word to say. They denounce people. I saw a child shouting, "That woman should be stoned. She must die. We have to bleed her to death."
One of the reasons he decided to escape was the problematic relationship with foreign jihadists. In particular, the French, many of whom settled in Deir ez-Zor.
They were a lot of French. They came in numbers. They spoke French and wouldn't mingle with us. We, as Syrians, were not valuable to the organization anymore. We felt that the Emir liked them more than us.
Saeed says they were paid 3 times as much as the Syrians. And they were ready to do almost anything.
Most Syrians do not volunteer for suicide missions. The French, however, don't seem to care. We were really surprised by that. That's why the Emir seemed to like them more. When he would ask, "Who's in for a suicide operation today?" the French would all raise their hands. They were confident about it. They must have been brainwashed. And I have to say, we locals, we didn't like them. And they didn't like us. There was a lot of fear and mistrust.